Hello and welcome to the OCRWC World Champion. I did it again. OCR World Championship. OCR World Championships 2022. We are here for the 100-meter semifinals and finals. Now we do have. My name is Jason Dupree. This is Miranda Huber. Thank you for joining me to commentate on this race. They're getting ready right now they're breaking down the ways of who's running when, and they're all outside standing in the rain, and we're going to have an update soon about when they're going to start. But we are going to watch the open waves.
Yeah, I believe the open waves go first based on what happened last year, and then the pros will go after that, and they'll break it down that way.
So let's go ahead and get a camera outside and see what's happening.
Yep.
So at the moment, as far as we know, they are talking through probably some rules. Who's going to win? What else do you think they might be discussing?
Yeah, there was a little concern with the rain. I think some of the athletes were worried about making risky moves, doing the jumps they want to do, skipping holds above the concrete, especially when it's slick and it's wet. But it looks like the majority of I see some of the finalists and the semifinalists there receiving kind of the talk from Adrian, who is the race director for the OCR World Championships.
You can see a lot of people with umbrellas still. You see Kevin Donahue down there chatting with VJ.
Yep, on the left side of the screen, VJ's in the blue hoodie, Kevin's in that green puffy jacket. Yeah, so it's crazy. This morning, it was actually quite nice. It's a little chilly very early, and then it cleared up. It was really warm. I walked around just in a long sleeve shirt all day. And then I think within the last hour, the temperature dropped like 10 or 20 degrees. The rain came out, and it got real cold out there real fast.
And it hasn't been a hard rain, but it has been a steady drizzle.
Yeah.
Just enough to make everything wet and a little bit miserable.
And that doesn't make too much of a difference on the obstacles, whether it's a heavy rain or a drizzle, they're going to be soaking wet.
That's right. Let's look at the course set we've got here. Let's start with the beginning of the course. You're starting from the right side of the screen. They're actually going to be starting off camera and running into the little short walls right there.
It's real short. It's about like 10, 20 meters before that wall, so you're not going to miss much of it.
And then once they get over the little walls,
I think it's a 4-foot wall. So a lot of the taller guys are just going to jump right over it, no problem.
Have you seen anybody hurdle it yet? Hurdle them without touching it with their hands?
Not without touching it, just with putting one hand on it. The guys were able to get both of their legs over the side.
A nice little vault.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the first rig. So we've got two rigs that are side by side here. One in front of the other from our angle. So it's unfortunately because of the rain, we had to put our cameras in some safer spots. So we've got the barbell hole to basically Skull Valley here. You got a barbell hold, skulls, rings, and the bells at the end. What do you expect to see from the athletes on this one?
I think a lot of the men are going to try to skip a lot of things here, and the risk is either going to pay off or it's not. So that's the chance you're going to take with taking a risk. I think it's pretty easy, especially for taller athletes like Benny Gifford, to go from that barbell straight to that ring, which is kind of hard to see, but if you see that guy with the blue jacket there, those rings are right there. So it's going to skip kind of from that Skull Valley. You can skip that first Skull Valley, grab that ring, skip the second Skull Valley to that second ring, and then there's the bell there kind of on the left side of the screen. So it'll be interesting to see the risks that are made. If people miss a ring, they might be able to take that opportunity and grab that skull then on the backswing if they're smooth enough. Or they might grab onto one of the skulls and try to skip the ring. It's a little trickier because you can see the two skulls on the left side, the red ones. You can see the back side of that a little further to the right of that. So right now you're just seeing that black, which is the back of it. So those skulls are on the opposite sides. When you're approaching the obstacle as the athlete, the first one, the skulls are on the right side, and then on the second one, the skulls are on the left side. So it just makes it a little bit trickier to go from one to the other. It's not just a straightforward run through. Yeah, you can kind of see that the ground's a little bit wet from the rain. Jason, can we skip through and look at the next rig?
Yeah.
All right, so again, the camera angle's a little further back since we had to get some coverage because of the rain. So here you can see there is a bar around the framing, like the scaffold that you're going to step on. Some of the taller men will likely not step on that. It has that straight little T-bar first, and then there is that sideways bar next. And it's kind of hard to tell. I don't think this one, the ropes are in the next lane. So the ropes are in the rig behind this one. So after that straight black bar, there is that, it's almost like a ring, but it's square shaped. It's a little bit thicker than a ring, so those can be tricky to grab onto. And then you have another black kind of T-bar shaped thing, one more sideways black bar. Those are all pretty straightforward, and then the bell. So again, here I expect to see a lot of people skipping a lot of obstacles. Now again, I think some of the athletes were worried about the rain and the slick and over the concrete, so maybe we'll see less skipping today and more just grabbing onto every single hold just to be a little safer, not to get injured or anything. And then what you do is on the left side where there is no rig, you're going to go around that corner there, and then that back side is another rig, and it is a ring to a rope, then a fire hose, and those, you can see those black ropes kind of in the background hanging down. They're not as long, so you can't always get your feet on that because it's not tall. So the fire hose, and then it goes to that big, it's not a ring, but that big hoop, and then again it's another rope, fire hose to the bell.
So we do have another commentator going to, looks like, possibly take my spot, VJ Jones, who was with us yesterday for the 15K. VJ Jones, welcome.
Oh man, I'm so happy to be here. This is actually the best seat in the whole house. Hi, I'm VJ.
Hi VJ, Miranda, nice to meet you.
All right. Down here.
All right, we just heard we're about to get started from Sydney Morris. Thanks, Sydney. So very exciting. We're going to start with the open waves, I believe.
Is there no sound?
So we should have some time to talk through some obstacles, maybe talk about what strategy they might have as they go through the open waves. And that'll be interesting to see. That way you can see what they do in comparison to what the pros are going to do.
All right. So everyone was gathered outside under the small little bit of roofing that they had to try to stay dry and stay warm before this, and they had a little athlete briefing going on out there, going over the rules, why they reduced the height of those walls due to the water, and something everyone was actually wondering about was if they were going to allow everybody to continue holding on to the rings in that final obstacle, or let it go so that they could hit the bell and keep the speed. But they're actually going to make you stick with the qualifying rules, take them off the hooks, and have to place them on the post at the end. That was seemed the biggest conversation starter out there.
Okay, yeah, so for a lot of the athletes that maybe haven't, I don't think we showed that yet on the screen, so what VJ's talking about is, it looks like if you've been to a Savage race, it's their anchors away, so it is those black barbells, and you have a pair of loose rings in your hand, and you have to swing through and put them on those anchors, kind of like a rig style, but the thing is, it's like Gibbons or something like that, where you have to take the rings and you have to put them back. You can't just leave them on the obstacle. So that's interesting because for me, as a shorter athlete, sometimes it's a struggle to get that off of there. I can't just reach and grab it. I've got to hit it with the other ring. So sometimes it comes down to luck. If you hit it first thing, or if you I try to strategically, when I jump off, I try to hit the bell and then strategically jump off and kind of jump up a little bit and get the ring off all in one move. Because if I have to hit it off there, you never know how fast it's going to work.
And that takes a ton of coordination and athleticism to be able to do that. You might be one of the few athletes that is very capable of doing that. It's very impressive. But I was watching a lot of qualifying over the last few days of the weekend. Even athletes like Logan Broadbent and Leon Kofod were actually struggling with that. Logan probably got hung up for 7 or 8 seconds. He was a very strong, very capable athlete, just trying to jump up and knock that last ring off of those hooks. So that was a pretty tough situation. So I'm interested to see how that affects everybody. But do we have a copy of a list of everyone who's in the finals? Sweet.
What's interesting about that strategy is it only works if I get close enough to the bell to hit it. If you try to make a big lâché at the end, you've got to drop that ring to go full force into that bell. So yeah, I'm more experienced with the women's names. I do watch the men, but a lot of these men aren't really the top athletes. You don't have Logan Broadbent, VJ Jones, which, speaking of that, how come you didn't do the 100 meters?
In the earlier version of the course, they've now since shortened the walls. I knew that if you were going to go for podium, you had to jump from the tops of those walls. Given the course is on asphalt, and I have another 2 World Championship events I'd like to pursue this year, I didn't want a silly mistake to lead to an injury out here. And I had a lot of fun with the 100-meter last year, but I'd rather just stay safe, be able to get back to training, not take any risk. But these ninja guys that have come out, which in higher numbers than last year, they're experienced with this sort of stuff. Taking big risks is just part of every competition that they enter. So I think they're going to be just fine out there, especially with the reduced height of the walls now, which I think was a good call, just to make sure everyone was safe, because having people racing side by side and jumping from between 8 and 9 feet in the air onto concrete was going to be a risky thing for some of the athletes to have to face. And like these guys are dedicated to what they're doing, so they're going to definitely just send it right off the tops of those walls.
Yeah, if you want that world championship, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
That's right.
They're about to get started right now on the first open wave heat. So here, we don't know a lot of background on the open waivers, but I do know the guy in yellow. That's the highlight ninja, Kendall Ortez. Unfortunately, I'm not going to know a lot of the names. I'll know a couple people, but that's about it. So yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, VJ is our last year, the 2021. He won 3rd place in this event, the 100 meters. So congrats on that from last year.
Thank you. I had a blast with it. Definitely different having just obstacles on the course, no running to split it up.
Yeah.
And a lot of other races out there are one try obstacles, and it's a lot of consequence to lose that kind of time and face penalties. But with this, it's all about taking the biggest moves you can and getting through everything as fast as you can. So rather than the conservative approach of most OCR athletes, this is very, very different.
Yeah. And that's why we've got a lot of ninjas on the list. A couple of the people on our list didn't race this weekend at all, except for the 100-meter course. So that's interesting to see. So yeah, that's not surprising. I believe last year I was more involved with seeing the pre-race briefing and all of that. So last year it was like the 1st place went up against the 8th place. So that wasn't really surprising to see the Kendall, the guy in yellow, come out first there. I think when we get to like the 3rd heat, that's going to be 4th place versus 5th place. So that could be a little bit of a closer battle.
I'm interested to see if shoe choices changed on some of these guys due to the slickness and how fast they're taking this first corner, because they're racing around a sharp 90-degree or even sharper than that coming into these first walls. So they're going to have to lean it over and hop up these walls, which is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah. Here we've got the next heat going. So yeah, you'll see this will move pretty quick, pretty fast. So this should be our 2nd place versus our 7th place. I imagine that some of the guys on the pro are probably going to skip the 2 skulls. Do you think? I think I saw some guys doing that.
I'm curious to see how the water has affected that, or if
Ooh,
they're
yeah.
willing to take just as many risks on that. I know that a lot of people were skipping the second set of skulls. And look at that.
This
There's
is a pretty
the
good
big
battle.
moves.
Wow. Yeah, that was a big jump. Now, it's interesting you bring up the shoe choice. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the shoes because yesterday when I ran it, last year I just ran in my road shoes. Everything was over the ground. Here we go. We've got a battle to the finish. Oh, and see, sometimes it comes out on luck on that ring obstacle, whether you're going to get that in or not.
Yeah, trying to get that last ring off. His body got out of control and knocked over the post that he was supposed to drop those rings on. So it was like a really unfortunate situation that happened there for him. But good to see a battle. I mean, so I don't have the rankings here of how the seeds for the open waves came in, but I think as we get through these rounds, the competition is going to get closer and closer because those seed times are going to get closer and closer.
Definitely. Yeah, so I was talking to some athletes out there, and they originally thought they would run their road shoes, and then because of the warped wall, because of the rain, they were like, wow, maybe I want to wear my BJs, maybe I want to wear my trail shoes. Sometimes those lugs are more sticky, especially on the warped wall, and like you said, going over the walls and things like that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So I did pull up the list here, I think, of the open waivers. So
Cool.
Let's call out the top names. So this is the order of how they were seated. So first place, like I said, I knew him. His name was Kendall Ortez. Second place was Ernest Greer. Third place, Samar Delgado. Honel Mendez, and I apologize. Jonathan Hart, Vitaly Savinovich, Walker Lloyd, and Nicholas.
Looks like Eichhorn.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's cool to see the kind of the depth of field that we have here. I've seen some of these names on Instagram. Some of them are European. So we're really getting a world championship, even in the 100-meter. And it's really cool to see some of the OCR athletes, not just ninjas making the final, but get to see a cross between some of the OCR athletes that have a little bit of experience and a little more obstacle proficiency, getting to display their strength.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm guessing we saw first and eighth and second and seventh. So now I believe we'll see Samar against Vitaly for these open waves.
And not only is it wet out there, it is very, very cold. So staying warm in between the rounds and before these rounds is going to be a real challenge for these athletes. So you're going to have to like stash your raincoat, keep your gloves ready. As soon as you finish, get back, try to stay warm to get through to those next rounds. Because the temperature dropped probably 20 degrees in the last 2 hours. It's been quite the roller coaster.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's unfortunate. It was so beautiful this morning. It was really nice, and the sun came out. It finally warmed up. It's been cold the last 2 days, and then right as this event starts, the temperature drops and the rain comes out. Makes it a little more interesting, though. I'm excited to see. Now, the one obstacle I think we didn't walk through, can we go back and look at there are two walls before the kind of like the Savage Race. Yeah, so they're on the right side. You can see, I think it's a 4-foot wall and then maybe a 6-foot wall. You have to go over that. I actually saw a really young girl run the course yesterday. It was so motivating. She was 10, 12 years old, and she went right under that. I don't even think that she looked up and realized that the wall was there to go over. So it was cool to see.
It does honestly look like an over-under. That was my first instinct when I saw it. Very similar to some over-under obstacles that we've seen in some different race series, but kind of cool to see of kind of a floating wall, so you have to jump into it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's cut back to the front of the course. I bet we'll hopefully be seeing the next two run pretty quickly. Yeah, maybe we should talk through who's on our list for the pros. We'll continue watching the open waivers. Open ladies are up next. I'm not sure.
So are they splicing those two together?
I'm wondering what happened. We only had 2 waves, so we only had 4 guys. Was it only the top 4 that made it into the semifinals for the open wave? Or maybe there were some gentlemen that were in that top 8 and they decided not to run it. I know some people were concerned about the rain, or maybe some people have already left. So yeah, here we've got the open waivers starting for the women. Yeah, so it's possible out of those top 8 in the open, 4 of them just didn't show up or didn't want to race.
That is actually Suzanne Himka, the mother of our #1 seed in the pro women, competing right there in the blue jersey.
Oh, cool.
She owns her own ninja gym in Colorado Springs. Look at that.
So what's interesting to see is, did you say it was Susanna in the blue shirt? She was a little bit behind and then she made up a gap there. So it's never over till it's over, right? What if somebody drops their rings on the very end and has to restart? So you want to make sure that you full send all the way from start to finish, even if you fall behind. They're looking strong.
Still taking risks with those rings and just going for big skipping swings, even with the rain, which is impressive on that slick plastic that those rings are made out
You can see how she had to push her ring off. That was pretty much how my attempt went on Friday. It was a little unfortunate.
Now, a lot of us OCR athletes are very used to when there are warp walls on the course, them being wet. We're usually dealing with wet courses or even dealing with mud pits. But I think this is going to be interesting to see how some of the ninjas handle this. It's going to be a lot more slick than their normal conditions.
They're not used to that. It's inside. It's temperature controlled. Nothing's ever wet. They get to chalk up before every obstacle. All things that OCR athletes don't get to do on an OCR course. All right, so I think we should talk about the pro names. We're going to get into them real quickly. So for the men, hopefully, VJ, you've got a little more background. I have a lot of information on the ladies, but yeah, we've got, if you want to talk through the top 8 is who we should be seeing in finals.
So I could comment on a couple of these athletes, some that I've heard from Ninja Warrior, and then there is a standout OCR athlete name that is built in there. But a lot of these guys are ninja athletes that we're actually not, I don't think they were competing last year. I'm very interested to see how these guys compete on this course.
Yeah, I compared the names to last year, and there were really only 2 that stood out to me. So Joe Moravsky is here. He's obviously an American Ninja Warrior, if you're familiar with that. He won last year this event.
One that's here.
Welcome, Kevin. We've got
How's it
10
going?
of Kevin Donahue joining us in the booth.
I am really pumped because we have these men coming up, and like you said, there's a lot of some serious ninjas out here today, like BJ was saying. And one of the top guys that threw down the best time today, his name's Anthony Erdley, and he's a former. Well, I think they can hear me pretty good. They can hear both of us. He's a 4-time Ninja Warrior. He is a national finalist for Ninja Warrior. This guy is a tremendous gymnast. Like, if you go on his Instagram, this guy is doing that.
I think we have someone on the course.
We got someone in course right now. We have one of the open ladies. We got to tease these men though because they're coming up, and Joe's going to be one of them. The first guy going up is Anthony Erdley, and this guy he's a former semi-pro football player. He actually used to play on the same team as Kevin Gregory, but this guy could do it all. He's an underwater welder, and he was just telling me he's like, I just love doing dangerous shit and having the best time of my life doing it. So he is the top ranked guy right now. And he's going to go up against somebody I don't really know much about. He was hard to find on Instagram, but Tom Alberti. But then right after that, we got Joe Moravsky up against Benny Gifford.
Oh, that's going to be a nice fight.
That is That was what we were hoping for the finals last year, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that is like a finals matchup right there in the first round.
We actually had that in the finals. They were first and second in the
Yeah.
100-meter last year. So Benny went up against Joe Moravsky.
Give me just 1 second. I want to make a shout out.
Wong right here.
Yes, I was going to say Jessica Wong is a good friend of mine, so I just wanted to shout her out. She just won that wave for the Open Women. So before she finished and go off screen, I just wanted to mention her name.
Yeah, again,
good luck
she's
to
a
her. Good
veterinary
job.
nurse, and she's got a flight to catch out of Albany pretty soon. So hopefully she's able to get another run in. But
Yeah.
as she descends that net, hopefully she comes back in the crowd and gets ready for round number 2.
Yeah. So I'm actually disappointed to see Joe Moravsky go against Benny Gifford in the first round because one of them is going to be out when last year that was our first and second place finishers.
It just shows you the depth that is in
Wow.
this field with the people that came out and did it today. If you can see Benny Gifford, he's at the bottom of the screen right now, actually talking to BJ. Is that your girlfriend he's talking to? Is this a problem? All right, we
I
have it
trust
caught on camera right now. Like,
Can
we
we-
don't trust Benny.
We
I
can
trust
actually
her.
watch this. Nobody should trust Benny. He's like Motley Crue. You leave him around your girlfriend. You're playing with fire.
Are you trying to start some drama over here, Kevin?
There's always drama, but I'm not doing it. It's right there. Look, Benny's dancing already and doing all that stuff.
I think
I'm
he's
just
trying to
kidding,
stay warm.
Benny. Everybody's trying to stay warm. If you look in the right part of the screen, there's Joe Moravsky in the black pullover with the red basically under his armpits, and he's jumping around, trying to get those calves ready, trying to get that explosive power going. And I tell you what, like, he's one of the most unassuming guys. He doesn't look like he's this like tremendous explosive athlete, but that guy can move.
Yeah.
He can jump. He's tremendously coordinated. And I tell you what, he showed a tremendous amount of championship guts and guile last year. When they got to the very end, they actually had to rerun that last championship race, and he had to do it like one more time. That dude would just not back down, and he runs with the intensity of like a prize fight. Kind of like this guy to my left that kind of had a race in the 3K earlier this weekend that was almost like a prize fight with the amount of talent out there, and he came out on top. Mr. BJ Jones right there.
Yeah, congratulations, VJ. That was an amazing performance.
I've been training for it. It went the way I hoped, and I'm glad I had a fight for it. In previous years, some races, the field shakes out differently, but we had a battle all the way to the finish this year.
That makes it so
that
much
was a
more
lot of
exciting,
fun.
and then you gave it 100%.
Absolutely.
There's a little bit of disappointment when you win, but you've got this like 5-10 minute gap. It's like, man, if somebody was on my heels, would I have pushed a little bit harder?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk it through a few more of the names that we still haven't mentioned in our top 8.
I got one guy for you. And then we were looking at this cold, rainy, cranky weather. What climate is better equipped for somebody to come from than Russia? And Irby Produkin. He's this 18-year-old kid. He's the 100-meter Russian champ. He's actually been a finalist on the Russian Ninja TV show. The dude is Lachey with the best of them. I was watching some of his videos. His Lachey ability is incredible, and that's the kind of stuff that you're going to need on this course because you can't be doing backswings. If
Yeah.
you're backswinging on any of the rigs that we have here today, whether it's Skull Valley or whether it's the rope rig or anything else, you're losing valuable time and energy. People are going to blast past you.
Yeah,
He's
3-4 seconds every time you backswing because you have
Absolutely.
to wait for the swing to go back in the other direction.
He's really tall and he's super agile. So I would have loved us to have on this course some ground agility obstacles that would have showed off some of that stuff. I got to be honest, I feel they went a little too uncreative with the walls that they set up before, and obviously I had to take them out. But there were some real good opportunities for some ground obstacles to show off that agility. But between his length and his Lachey ability, he's someone, he threw down the time. I think his time was 4th best overall, but he has the ability to challenge like an Anthony Erdley and a Joe Moravsky with that skill set. And he's going to be going up against nobody not to talk about here, James McGrath, who is here with his fiance. And James, he is a celebrated Ninja Warrior who is here with his fiance Alyssa Beard, who is also one of the top contenders for the women. We're going to get into her later. But I tell you what, he's been getting back into this after He injured his shoulders on those Ninja Warrior shows. He's ready to go. He's been out there today working, but the rain has definitely kind of hurt him. I think he only took one qualifying run, so it's going to be cool to see if he has some tricks up his sleeve, is able to go. And now we have actually some of, is that them right there? Is this some of our top men? Is that Anthony Early right there? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think this might be some of the open men that are still going. But that was still a pretty cool way to jump over that bar. And it's going to be interesting to see if these guys get to those bars at the same time, who's going to be kicking who? You know, is there an obstruction rule if somebody like drop kicks somebody in the face as they're going through?
Yeah, I think if it's on purpose, obviously that would be one thing. But if it's incidental, and hopefully that doesn't happen, but I think we'll just have to play it by ear and see what happens. They'll have to make that call on the fly.
So as we're going through this course, you're in an interesting position, Miranda, because at a certain point today, you were actually qualified to run this event in the pro wave. You came out there, you crushed it, and that's pretty awesome for being a mom and a wife. But you're a climber, you're an OCR vet. I mean, are you kind of disappointed that you're not out there doing it today, or are you kind of glad that you got out of the race?
There are mixed feelings when that kind of thing happens. Yeah, I was seated within the top 8 this morning, and you know, you go into it, you're tired from the weekend. I ran, a lot of these girls that are in the top 8 didn't run the 15K yesterday. So some of them are going to be much more fresh. When you wake up after 2 days back to back of racing, you know, my body was tired, I was sore. I was thinking, man, it would be cool to make finals. But when I got dropped out, when I dropped down to 9th, the first thought was, whew, now I can kind of relax, I can watch, I can enjoy it. And now that it's cold and rainy, I don't feel that disappointed.
All right, we got a few of the other men coming through now. Now this guy.
These guys look like they're making more risks. They're going much faster.
They're taking. I think we're seeing a little bit more of the cream of the crop here. So this guy in the orange headband, he was out there yesterday, and he was at first I was like, you know, he looks like he's a lot more flash than he is substance, and I think he's dialed it back a little bit. Maybe it's the rain. But he was missing every bell yesterday, but now he's hitting the bells, and he looks like he's doing it pretty proficiently.
Yeah, he looks smooth. But look, now there they are, even again.
Even again.
You can't delay. You can't waste that time there.
And this is the excitement of a match racing, short obstacle courses. I mean, this is true obstacle course racing. You don't need
Here they are again.
You don't need your gel. You don't need your too much pre-workout or anything like that. You don't need to be tremendously hydrated. You just need to go out and risk and crush it. And there was a big mistake right there. He hit the ground. Oh, he did get the bell. It's kind of hard to see. It looked like with the bars, you couldn't tell if he got it up. But that was a great back and forth race.
It was.
Probably 2 or 3 lead changes right there.
Yeah, that was exciting. And that's the thing about the short course. You never know where somebody's going to lose just a couple seconds, and you can catch them.
It would have been way more exciting today if DJ Jones was on the race. I don't want to put him on the spot, but it would have been more exciting. He was one of the few guys today that did the 3K, 15K team race and isn't walking around like an 80-year-old man.
I actually didn't race in the 15K yesterday.
You didn't race in the 15K?
No.
Okay, I stand corrected. But you did run the other race today, and you still look like you could go out and like take 3rd at DecaFit like you did down in Palm Beach with that massive, incredible field down there. That's another conversation another time because you have Deca Worlds coming up in a few weeks, and that is going to be tremendously exciting. I believe that might be covered by the OCR report as well in some of the volumes.
BJ, do you feel disappointed now that those tall walls aren't in the finals, that you didn't run the course?
A little bit.
But you still would have had to probably make the risk to make the top 8 in your first runs.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and that was my fear that you have multiple qualifying attempts. And if the first attempt didn't go well, you're going to have to go again, which most of the time the first attempt is just kind of get a feel on the course, get some sighting in, and then attack the next one. So it's a little disappointing to see the change. I'm very happy that they did make the change so that we'll have safer athletes in the finals.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I'm happy to watch and commentate here in the booth. And I think with the depth of the field here today, who knows if I would have even made the finals.
Yeah, those ninja guys
with
are
the
fast.
He's being really humble here. He's being really humble.
He is.
We know that you would have had as good a chance as anybody out there with your guts and your ability to do these obstacles proficiently fast, your ability to take those risks, you know what it takes. But
Yeah.
I also
So the viewers.
I also respect the fact that you're not doing it too. So you know you got a lot of things coming up, and DECA was one of those things.
You have to be forward-looking and think about all of that, especially as a professional athlete. This is more than just this one race.
As we got a couple of ladies going out there, and if you can't really hear too much of the excitement, but in the front of the screen at the bottom, there is a huge crowd of people there watching. They're trying to stay out of whatever rain is still left over right now. But you can't hear, but they're getting a tremendous amount of support from the crowd right now, which is fun to watch. And we just want these kids right now. They look really young, and this is the future of not only the short course in OCR, but
there's a
in
lot of
OCR
strength
in general.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they can't be any older than 13, 14 years old. And look at the proficiency and the skill and the strength that you just alluded to.
They grew up in a different time than we did. I think they grew up with American Ninja Warrior being on TV, so they have kind of been surrounded on that, and now strength is different than I feel like it was for women 10, 20 years ago. It's this more popular thing, and it's less about being skinny and more about being strong, and I love that because it's such a great vibe. It sets such a good example for younger kids.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the physical maturity that you're showing, it's funny you say that. It's like when you and I started, most of the people in our age bracket, like we generally like 30 and above, obstacle course racing was.
She caught it. See, that makes such a. But she missed the wall.
Can the other lady rebound and take her?
There you go, up to the top. Who's gonna get it?
And at the same time, there was a whip at the bell, but she still got it.
Oh man, that was
Incredible.
An exciting battle.
That is match racing at its best. And
Yes.
you can hear the crowd, you can hear the cheers, you can see the enthusiasm. Far on the screen, you see Benny Gifford getting into it, laughing and going nuts and having fun with it. This is why people love coming to these 100-meter finals here at Stratton, Vermont.
So you asked if I was disappointed to get bumped out, and I kind of played it down like, oh, well, it's nice not to run out there and rain. I do well under pressure. So when I run the course alone, there's no reason to risk it. It's hard to feel that competition. But when you're there one-on-one, it is a whole nother level of excitement. And me personally, I can reach a whole new level that I can't reach in training or in practice.
Hey, pressure makes diamonds, right?
Yes. Even on a trail run, I can't push myself to that level when I'm out there alone on a timed course. It's so hard. But when you're side by side, man, I would have liked to see what I could do on something like that.
I'm sure you had, after seeing that excitement, I'm sure you're having some serious FOMO. I want to, comment again, like I was saying before we saw that awesome match race, was, when we started, obstacle course racing for us, it was like a second chance sport, right? It was our second chance to be high-level athletes. I'm not sure what background you came from. I came from a football background, right? And this was like kind of my second go around to do something. DJ, though it seems like he's been here forever, and he has, he was the first of the OCR athletes that chose this as his first sport. He was a high-level BMX rider back in the day when he was a little kid, but this endurance kind of outdoor sports, adventure, obstacle racing was basically his first choice as a high school athlete. And it's interesting to see, how do you feel about that choice when you started making it? And it wasn't like necessarily, I don't know if you could have saw this coming for you doing this long, or did you? I don't know. Talk about that.
I didn't really think that far ahead. I tried a few obstacle races in high school, was really good at it, and just wanted to pursue that. It made me really happy. I love competing no matter what it is, from board games to world championship sporting events. I'm highly competitive. I want to win. So I was very skilled in OCR, and I wanted to pursue it, so I wanted to win races. So I started traveling the Spartan circuit, attending the North American OCR championships, and expanded eventually to the world championships. And now that I've been doing it for 7-8 years, it's I was kind of one of the first. I'm one of the first athletes to kind of go from teenager to world champion level athlete in the sport, and it's pretty cool. And I think it's OCR is an athlete where there's a lot of crossover from other sports, and athletes can find a lot of success here. Something like this, though, the ninja athletes, it takes a long time to build the integrity in your body to be able to withstand what is necessary to be a ninja. It's very, very strenuous from, building muscle and skill, but also you have to develop all the ligaments and tendons, and that takes lots and lots of time. So these kids that get to grow up watching ninja on TV from the time they're 5 years old and on, and now they're starting to compete on the show. They've been swinging and developing their shoulders and their grip, and they're basically raised on ninja. That's why these kids are so much more dominant than any of the athletes we've seen in the past, because they grew up developing, building perfect ninja bodies. So it's really exciting to see. And our number 1 seed today, Julissa Himka, she's 15 or 16 years old, and she's the number 1 seed going into the finals here.
She's 14 years old.
14.
And you know what? She won first place last year in the 100 meters.
And she beat a formidable woman from Puerto Rico. I mean,
Yaris Cruz.
Yaris,
yeah.
Who is, if you're getting on the course with her, is as intimidating a person physically as you could be. An absolute sweetheart, one of the nicest people you ever meet. As bang. That is someone representing dirty development in Massachusetts, and their team is down there below cheering as they raise their fist for each other. I've actually had them in my optical specialty course for Spartan Winkies days a few years ago, and they're awesome. So they're representing a gym called Dirty Development over there in Massachusetts. So if you're in that area and want some OCR training, they're a great place to go to. I lost my train of thought with that. We just got seeing so much good stuff.
We were talking about Julissa.
I'm sorry.
Did we finish talking through all of the men? I want to make sure that everybody's name was mentioned. We don't want to be surprised.
We got to mention all the men.
Okay.
We haven't gone through the women yet.
Yeah, let's do that. So we talked about Julissa.
Julissa. She's a fellow Colorado Springs resident. And as I mentioned earlier, her mother owns an OCR gym, Lost Island Ninja Gym in Colorado Springs.
She's a ninja.
Yep.
She's 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Her name is the Ninja Chef, is what she's known as. And she didn't race the 15K, but she got first place in her age group in the 3K on Friday.
She's actually visited my gym in Colorado, Black Forest Performance Training. We've done some sessions together working on her running, making sure she was ready to come out for the 3K. And she's an incredible athlete. Growing up, like many kids have now, growing up ninja, basically.
Yeah, so she's seated first with a time of 1 minute and 19 seconds. So these courses are fast, they're short, they're hot.
That's kind of a hard segue into the next athlete, because you don't want to sound chauvinistic when you... And another person who's hot, I have no idea who she is, other than what I've researched on her, is Malia Oshner. And she is our second seeded athlete today, and she's an American Ninja Warrior. She's there in season 10 and season 11. She's also got a big soccer background, which if you're a great soccer player, it definitely displays a lot of agility, overall athleticism. But she's also a music teacher, she's in the theater, and she's an OCR veteran. So she's someone that we're excited to see out there today as well.
Yeah, so she's seated second with a time of 1:26 in qualifying, and she ran the 3K on Friday. She was in the Pro Wave and finished 17th.
That's a solid finish.
Yeah.
In a stacked field, especially in the 3K. If you're focusing on a ninja background, it's kind of hard to work on your cardiovascular game. So to be able to balance both those out, come out with a top 20 in a world-class field, that's impressive.
Yeah. It's got to be intimidating to go up against the Lindsay Webster, Rose Wetzels of the world, And she did finish third place in the 100-meter last year. I'm not sure if we mentioned that.
I wonder if this is our first round of pros, because these guys
This
look
is Anthony
athletic.
Erdley right here. This is Anthony. He is the American Ninja Warrior. He's a former semi-pro.
Wow, big jump there.
Those are the Lachey's that we were talking about.
Another big jump. And here we are. We're back together. You got to take those moves.
This is 1 versus 8 right now, and it is a race.
They jumped over those walls fast, but I wonder what's going to happen on the rings. Big moves.
Huge moves. It is going to. They are going to have to be perfect
He's
here.
got
Right
the
at
bell.
the end.
Look, he pulled him off. Yes,
I tell you
all
what,
right.
he was the #1 seed, and the 8th seed, Tom Alberti, just pushed him as hard as you could.
They were separated by a ton of time, almost 10 seconds in their seed times, yet they finished within 3 seconds of each other. That's a heck of a
9.7
fight.
seconds. and
Yeah,
he was
so for
right
Tom
there.
to come through and get that close to the first place seat that's pretty impressive.
And that just shows you too. You have not only you have to be perfect on everything at this point in the game, but you have to take those risks and be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony was jumping things and skipping things, and he had to be absolutely perfect with them. If he messed up one, he would have been sent home. You know, and like I don't know if he's only been here once, but that would have been the first time we had a 1 seed sent home by an 8 seed.
Yeah.
That's like the NCAA championships. Basically, that was the equivalent of like Kentucky getting knocked out by like I don't know, like James Madison or something like that. That was incredible. And next up, you all know him, it's Joe Moravsky, the weatherman, and he's in. Oh, that's not him because he's standing there and 2 guys are over the wall. So they're mixing it up here. Is this? Oh, is
This
that
is
James
our 4th
McGrath?
and 5th seeds going head to head.
That's James McGrath versus Mrs. Erie. Okay, so he is the Russian there in the white shirt. He's the one I was talking about, the big laches, really tall, super athletic, very agile, and he's showing it right there.
Oh,
With
they
that
were
length
swing for
to
swing
hit the
there,
bell.
but one of them made a risk and one of them didn't.
That was that length that we said that work in his favor, and he's handling the wet weather, that cold wet weather that I'm sure he's used to in Russia. Hits the bell down. If he can make it up the
Smooth.
wall, James McGrath is out.
In the
Nice.
first round.
American Ninja Warrior legend James McGrath just got bounced by an 18-year-old kid from Russia.
Yeah. And there you see those rings making a difference on you having to put them back. You've got to get him off of that ring, and he got a little stuck. He didn't get it off first try, and that makes a difference.
And Miranda, you called it, that move where he had just passed him at that one spot, and that was that length. That was that extra little bit that gives you the confidence to skip one thing. It could be the difference between a half an inch that gives you that confidence to go for the second level of an apparatus on a rig or not. And he took it and he won. Well, Alyssa Beard is going to have to hold it down for the family because her fiance is not going home yet. He better not go home. I'm sure he's her ride. He better stick around because she's going to be coming up for the ladies next.
Yeah,
Wow,
so we
that was
talked about our
amazing.
top 2 seats for the lemon. So our 3rd place seat was Chris Roglowski. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of her.
No,
She's
no.
on fire. She did finish 3rd place in the 3K, 2nd in the 15K, and she did 3 team races today, Kevin, and finished 1st place in all of them,
And
of
she didn't
course.
show up for this. Total slacker. Disappointed in her.
She had to get home, so unfortunately we won't get to see her race. So let's move past her. She's an impressive athlete, but we won't be seeing her today. So 4th place
Can I say
seated.
one thing about her?
Yeah,
though?
go for it.
You could make a strong argument that Chris has had the greatest season of any woman in these mixed discipline, mixed between High Rocks, DECA, Spartan, OCRW.
In sporting history,
I was
she
gonna
has
say
had the
anything.
greatest
The greatest
season of
season.
any athlete
Yeah.
in any sport of all
Yeah.
time. From podiuming at world championship events, regional championships of OCR.
For basically different sports.
The-
High Rocks and
Mhm.
OCR are
The-
different things.
The Grand Slam of ultramarathons,
Oh my gosh.
the 4 oldest 100-milers in the country. She is now the youngest person to complete all of those, with top 10 finishes in multiple 100-milers this year. High Rocks world champion. She's one of the top 3 or 4 seeds for DECAFIT going into the World Championships. So just formidable over so many different disciplines. One of the most impressive athletes I think we've ever seen across the board.
Yeah, I think these look like the younger girls. Is that
This is
Jaleesa?
Jaleesa up front, our #1 seed.
And she's looking like a #1 seed now, ripping through. And just the last thing on Chris, I mean, her drop the mic moment was really when she won the High Rocks World Championships, flew to Big Bear, and then took 2nd at the North American Regional Series race. at Big Bear the following day.
Yeah. So is that Jaleesa in the whiter
In the
shirt?
white, yes.
Who do we have in the black shirt? Because I thought it was going to be first against 8th, but I know 8th place is Amy Pajic right now, so
it
that
could
is not
be,
her.
Signe Colso. If they had a roll down draft, so maybe as athletes weren't popping up, they had new ones sub in because
Okay.
Oh, what a move by
yeah,
Jaleesa. We haven't even seen that with the men today. She reached through, she hit the ring, hit the bell with the ring, did a slight backswing, and as she was straightening out, she did a thrusting pull-up to take the rings off at the same time and come down in one swept move.
Yeah.
That was the cleanest, most efficient dismount with the rings that we've seen today. And I hope some of the men were watching because that was the fastest way to get that done.
Yeah.
Super clean.
It's real hard if you let go to get that ring off of there smoothly.
That was Mr. Clean.
I wonder if that was Angelica Glasgow, though. Do you know?
not sure. We're gonna have to see who goes next
Yeah, we didn't
to see
get
how far the roll downs went.
Yeah, we weren't privy to the information of the way
Yeah.
the seats were going to work in this, so I apologize that we aren't able to provide her name.
Yeah, I mean, just to give a little further context, we were supposed to start as these other athletes are off and ripping again.
That's Alyssa Beard on the far side with the crop top. American Ninja Warrior.
Mm-hmm. And she was supposed to be going up against Ida Mathilde Steensgaard, so they must have had that roll down happen. So this might be Alyssa Beard and Aaliyah
Well,
Ennis.
this kid,
That is not Aaliyah.
this kid in the black, she won the Women's Open last year, and now this is her first shot at the pros, and she's got to go up against a Ninja Warrior legend and Alyssa Beard, and she's hanging with her right
Yeah.
now. This is going to come right down to the end, guys.
This is a good battle.
She's going to be right there.
Ninjas don't climb walls. So it's impressive to see Alyssa. I mean, she's got the fitness, obviously, and the strength, but it's still different, something you're not used to doing every day.
And she is 14 or 15 years old, and she just hopped into the women's pro wave for the first
Now,
time.
Alyssa looked like she hit almost every single anchor, so
Oh,
that's-
she's bumped up a little bit. If she can hit the bell. Oh, and
Oh,
she
it's
misses it
gonna
as
come-
well.
Okay. Come on.
Ugh. Just reaches the top of the wall,
She
muscles
better-
over, and she survives and now has bragging rights over
Yeah.
her husband for at least 1 year in regards to that. As you see Joe Morosky at the bottom watching. I mean, I tell you what, he comes to the event. The guy is one of the most approachable people you ever want to meet. He helps out the younger kids. Oh, my God! She couldn't make it up. Oh, wait,
No,
no, she did.
Alyssa,
Oh, okay,
she was just
did.
still hanging there, yeah.
The false
She got it.
alarm. But, like, did she miss the bell and then fall down the wall?
She did hang there for a while. That was interesting.
Yeah. So, again, give further context how it's supposed to start. You and I were supposed to start together, and then we couldn't figure out exactly what was going on with the start times or who was doing what and the overlaps. I went outside to figure out what was going on, but the show had to go on, and you bravely took the reins with our fearless producer. And then I found VJ, and VJ was more than happy to come out of the rain and join us and add his expertise, which is invaluable considering that you did this event last year and you went toe-to-toe with some of the athletes we're seeing. We're just waiting for the next couple of people to come up. Who else do you have for the ladies that sounds like someone we would really want to hear from?
So 2 names that I know, the 7th and 8th place seeded ladies with times of 147 and 150 were Aaliyah Enos, and she's on the Strong as Oak team. She finished 3rd in her age group in the 15K, 5th in her age group in the 3K, and she is a grip proficient athlete.
She's a CrossFit Games CrossFit coach. She owns her own CrossFit
Yep.
gym. She's got this like kind of half mohawk. It's just kind of on the top. It doesn't go down the back. You can't miss her.
You
And she
know
was-
when you see
yeah,
her.
exactly. Like she's
Now-
like corn. You know when you see it.
I
But-
talked to her before the course, and I talked about how some of the athletes were complaining about the rain, the risk. Aaliyah was actually excited for the rain. She said these Ninja Warriors, they're not going to be as good in the wet conditions, so she was actually happy for the
And
rain.
she's a very confident woman, and I actually raced against her team in the team race. So she did the team race today too. So she did that. She got some nutrition in her, rebounded in her. She's gonna come out here.
Now, so I just saw a comment flash across the screen that was Angelica Glasgow that went earlier. She was seated in 5th. She is 16 years old, and she finished 7th place in her age group in the 3K on Friday.
Well, whoever said that, tell that person thank you for giving us that information so we can give Angelica credit.
Yeah, thank you. And then seated in 8th place is Amy Pajic, another obstacle proficient athlete. She finished top 10 in the pro women's field in the 3K. 9th place, that was an impressive performance. And then she finished 12th pro in the 15K, and those were both stacked fields.
She's got great strength. She's solid on rigs. She's a rock climber.
She's a rock climber. She climbs 512, 513 grades if you're a rock climber. Those are hard. And she's on the Mudgear Battle of the Lions pro team. So she has a full-time job, but she's a pro athlete. She's a veterinarian. She's a surgical vet.
She's also an artist. She's a really good painter.
Yeah.
Really good painter.
You know, she doesn't have a TV in her living room. She doesn't have a TV in her bedroom. She paints. Here, this is the battle we want to see.
Joe Borofsky and Benny Gifford are going to paint the picture of what's going to be an exciting course right now.
Uh-oh, Benny made a mistake early.
And that is what he did last year. Benny made a mistake, and Joe capitalized on it. Here we go, Benny with another one. Joe right now is in perfect position. All he has to do is get through this, and that is huge because the energy that you're expelling, the amount of times that you have to run, you don't want to have to go like all out on every single one of these courses. This basically saves him. He's got a free run here to practice, and now he could go into the semifinals with all his energy. And Benny, 2 years in a row with a disappointing effort, but we love Benny. And Benny just being here makes the world of OCR a better place.
Kevin, disappointing. He finished 2nd last year.
He's disappointing. 2nd sucks when you want to win.
That's true. That's true. I know Benny had a lot of pressure on. He really did want to beat Joe. So
he was disappointed.
That's a good point.
He's not a disappointment. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, what is disappointing now is I actually have to leave you all. And I say you all because you are a proud Texas woman. And you hopped into here today, and you've been awesome. Thank you so much for your insight and your stats and everything you've done coming down.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for joining us.
I would be so happy to do this with you again. I know I'll get to do it again with this guy as we watch some of the MLB come through. I'm going to watch this last one right here, y'all. Talk about Mohawks. You got one right there. Come on, boys. Let's do something exciting. Let's make it awesome. Don't get hurt, though.
Good battle. These guys are taking it less risky than the last battle
as we say it, down on the concrete. Let's hope he's okay.
He's getting up. He looks all right.
Yeah, he went flat on his chest.
It looks like he lost his ego, but you know it's never over till it's over.
He's over.
Okay.
He's done. But luckily it doesn't look like he hit his chin or anything like that. It's just,
I think it's kind of what VJ talked about. You know, it's sometimes if you get hurt out there, you.
And he's walking down the course clapping on his competitor. I mean, that's what the sport's all about, the camaraderie. Yeah. Again, whoever that was in the black, not sure again, but he just got, again, a free run to be able to practice and save his energy. And I am going to try to give you guys as much energy as I can as I'm leaving. VJ, you can have my trusty clipboard with my funky scratch notes. Good luck with that. I usually have good handwriting, but for myself, it's usually pretty bad. And,
thank you for joining us, Kevin. It was great. Sorry to see you go.
Yeah, but VJ, thank you so much again for coming out here and always being one of the best examples and ambassadors for the sport while going out there and kicking serious ass.
I appreciate it.
Take care, all right? You guys have a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, if any of our viewers can fill us in on those last two athletes, like I said, it's hard to see on the screen. We're not exactly sure who just ran. It seems like the seating maybe worked differently than we originally expected.
It looks like they wanted to stagger and run 2 women's heats, 2 men's heats, 2 women's heats, and go back and forth like that. Based on my process of elimination here, that looked like David Kavanaugh and Justin Hobbs going head-to-head. I'm not familiar with these athletes, so I'm not sure which one was the athlete that made it through, but I'm sure we'll get to figure it out and try to gather some information as we go.
Yep. Appreciate it. Now, last year, the heats went pretty quick, back to back to back. Unfortunately, even some of the athletes had to run one run. They won their heat and then immediately rolled into the next one.
That's right.
For the finals. So I think we will probably go back to the open waivers before we hit the finals. So they'll get a short break there. But was it Joe last year that ran back to back?
He actually had to do a back-to-back run because of a complication where they hit the bell almost simultaneously at the end of the course. So him and Jay Lachey had to repeat their semifinal round.
Okay.
Which was very, very stressful to have to do twice in a row.
Yeah. I feel like I can see the rain coming down a bit more on there. I can see it on the screen.
Oh,
I'll chime in on that last comment about the redo that they had to do. They were asking us, do you have the replay of it? Because they couldn't see who crossed the finish line first. And at the time, we only had replay of like what was live, and not like all the cameras. We had that ability now, but man, we're like, no, sorry, we don't have it.
Yeah.
Well, now we're prepared to back up the officials if they need any assistance. And we're taking a glance outside as another race takes off. Oh man, someone's right in the way of the camera. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we're going to swap to another camera, and then we're going to go outside and get that fixed. That is Amy Pajic in the
Awesome.
black shirt. And I talked to her. She was a little worried about the rain. She said she's not going to make any huge, big, risky moves because she's also has the rest of the season to finish out. So she doesn't want to get injured.
Oof.
Yeah, that was a good move.
The bravery in the rain and the confidence is just amazing to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Amy's a strong competitor. She's my teammate, so I'm kind of rooting for her. But nothing against.
I believe that's Malia Oshner.
Yes, that
Up ahead
was
of her.
our third place finisher last
Oh,
year.
look
So
at how close it's getting now.
This is going to be a battle through to the finish. And they both took a few extra seconds there. They both skipped. They both skipped a second one. Amy hit the bell. Malia hit the bell. Oh no. There goes Malia up. Strong finish from Malia. Unfortunately, Amy got caught back there getting her ring off of that anchor. But that was still a strong performance from both athletes. Great battle. All right, there's our cameraman getting things fixed for us down there.
Awesome.
I don't know how he was that tall. He must be. There is a box down there. He must be standing on top of it. All right, so there's you can see Malia coming out in the USA shirt there, and Amy, she's smiling. She looks in good spirits. Malia looks worn out but excited to be moving on. That's probably one of my friends. I talked about how I did my hair for this.
All right, so we have Ida Steensgaard, who is our 3K champion, a fellow podium mate from Friday.
And that's
hailing out of
Aaliyah.
Denmark.
You heard us talking about the hair. It's quite prominent and indistinguishable.
And Ida had a little bit of a disappointing showing here last year. Made a few mistakes when she got towards the finals. I'm sure she's looking for some redemption here.
Definitely. She's looking smooth right now. She's got a few holds ahead.
Nice.
Nice. Leah's right behind her. Still a close battle. Aaliyah looks like she's worried about something. She's confused.
I'm curious if she was supposed to have the left lane.
Yeah. Oh, and Ida went back. I wonder if maybe she skipped something or... Now Aaliyah's ahead.
I wonder if there was a complication with picking the wrong lane and they
Yeah.
made her go back to redo it.
It's a little disappointing. I mean,
Yeah.
Ida is an impressive athlete, but let's see what happens here. Aaliyah didn't skip that one, so Ida can make up ground. There goes Aaliyah again. Kind of made a little fumble. She's got the bell. got the ring, and Aaliyah, I think, is going to come out on top. I don't know. It's going to be close.
That's really unfortunate for Ida. She's a competitor. She takes this stuff to heart, and this is her whole life is dedicated to being an obstacle racer. So unfortunate to see like technicalities get in the way of straight up competition like that.
Yeah, it is quite disappointing to see something like that, especially something like you said, a technicality, something kind of small and silly. Although we don't know for sure what happened in that scenario.
And we've seen other athletes actually switch lanes mid-race.
Yeah, it seems like if both lanes are open.
Yeah, and Ida actually took the longer route. She was on the outside lane and went wide around the corner to the other outside lane. So if anything, Aaliyah had an advantage there. But I guess rules are rules.
Yeah. It's probably not good to speculate, but maybe they'd let them to rerun it. I have no idea.
That would be really cool, but we'll see. It looks like everyone's in good spirits, though.
You can't control the unexpected. The running public did a podcast on Friday about OCR World Championship and talked a lot about don't worry about what you can't control. Don't worry about the weather. Don't worry about who's going to show up, your competitors, what they're doing. Worry about yourself, what you can control. You can control what you're wearing. What shoes do you choose? Do you wear a jacket? That kind of things.
Now, everyone tries to keep that in mind, but it is tough as an athlete to not, when you put pressure on yourself to not look at all these other factors that it could affect your race and hope that you can control and try to prepare and be ready for all of these different things. When you have such pressure on yourself, like I know weeks leading into races, especially a world championship weekend like this, I'm stressing about everything. I'm checking the weather, I'm checking the start list, I'm going to see who's there, try to have every little element figured out before we even start. Then you got to have someone else kind of come in and try to calm you down.
Yeah.
Get you back on the ground.
Who is that for you? Who calms you down a little bit?
Pretty much everyone around me knows that I kind of freak out going into races, and I overthink. So a lot of my family just tries to just relax. It's gonna be fine. But also people tend to actually just kind of stay out of my way because, historically it's worked.
Yeah.
So I get a little stressed, but I don't know. Once we hit the course, the very first second of the course, all of that drains away. You're not worried about anything anymore. All you can think about is what's in front of you, and that's a really cool part about racing. I'm so mental going into it, and as soon as they say go, everything's gone, and all there is just the competition.
Yeah. Man, rain, I think it picked up. Look at it come down now.
It is looking brutal out there.
Yeah, I feel like it's even getting colder in here and we're sitting inside and I'm feeling chilly. So I imagine now that we've had everybody run their semifinals round.
Yes.
It is going to go back to the open teats finals. So likely men and then women. And then we will do the men and then women for the pro waves after that. So there will probably be a little gap here between waves, or maybe they'll run them pretty quick because the open waivers had some time. Yeah, somebody put the comment on there. Aaliyah 8 months ago actually broke her ankle and had to come back from that. So she did so great and won, third place in her age group in the 15K yesterday after an ankle injury. I was so impressed with her. She beat me yesterday, and I did not have a broken ankle 8 months ago. So great job to her on getting back. She's got the, the endurance and the consistency in her training. Here we are, open men's final. That is Kendall Ortez. I know him. He's from Fort Worth, Texas, where I live. And I want to give a shout out to Will Raymond. That's a videographer that you see on the screen right there. He has been tracking his chasing of the athletes, and he has ran probably more miles this weekend than anybody else.
Wow,
a big move to the bell.
Now this is the crux of the course. Can
It
they
is.
dismount?
Gotta have
smooth?
that smooth dismount. Bell?
Wow,
Oh,
that was
yes.
impressive to get that unhooked while swinging out for the bell.
Yeah. Now that warped wall is looking pretty slick now. I wonder if we're going to see anybody miss the top. We haven't seen it yet, so be interesting to see. Or actually, we might have seen one earlier.
Yes, but that wasn't when it was a full-on downpour like we're seeing now. And every shot we get of the warp wall, it looks worse and
Yes.
worse as we keep going.
It does.
It's basically a reflection of the sky at this point with how much water is building up on there.
Yeah. Now, I like this year that it's not just a jumping competition, and also there's less resetting that they have to do on course.
All right, our open women's final.
Yeah, that is Jessica Wong in the gray shirt. I feel like these are, well, they're not the two ladies that battled earlier. I feel like you can tell there's a little difference in the hustle in these women versus the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Nice close battle.
Come on, stay on.
It looks wet, you know?
It is very wet, and a lot of these black holds that we're seeing right in front of us are powder coated. So not only is it, hard to support your weight and swing normally, now you have very, very slick holds compared to what we normally have to face and compared to what qualifying was like this entire weekend.
Yeah. She's got a little gap there, but what's interesting is if you fall off or something, sometimes you can't waste that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Here, we've got Jessica finally caught up, but I don't think she's got enough ground.
Nice.
That was a good dismount.
Oh, look
we-
how slick that is. We were just talking about.
Yep. Finally saw that foot slip. You know, something I love about the 100-meter course is, you know, you're out at this point, but to see the athletes finish to me it's just that camaraderie. People are cheering you on. They want to see you finish, and it's so awesome to see them finish out the course. I like that kind of spirit that I want to touch that bell.
And that right there might be showing how shoe choice is going to affect the competition going on, because the second place athlete actually was wearing VJ Extreme 2 trail shoes, very aggressive trail shoes. So having a place for the water to gush out the sides so that the rubber can make contact with that wall might actually make a difference in these quick finishes we're going to see.
Yeah, I opted for my VJ Sparks yesterday because of the warped wall. I knew that they would stick better, and I pretty much just walked up it. So would you choose your trail shoes out on a course like that over road shoes?
Yes, a more low-profile trail shoe would be my go-to.
What would you pick specifically?
I am a VJ athlete, so VJ Sparks sound really good to me. Low profile so that you have a lot of balance and control, but
you don't
still
need that rock
aggressive
plate?
enough.
You're not
rock
running
plate
over any
necessary
rocks,
on
yeah.
this one. But yeah, something that has a decent amount of lugs on there, because actually the rubber that's under there, when you have a road shoe or something that is like a full rubber coverage across the bottom there, it can actually create a thin layer of water when you step down, right? So those lugs are actually going to allow the water to vacate out from under the lugs so that the rubber can actually make contact with the ground.
Yeah, really smart, really well explained on what's happening there. Now, I don't have the VJ Ultras. I see that's what you're sporting right now. I'd like to get myself a pair. So I opted for a comfier shoe yesterday. I knew it was going to take me over 3 hours. And I'll tell you, I was slipping all over the place. Unlike Friday when I ran in my Sparks, my VJ Sparks, they didn't slip a single time. And I even slipped and got my butt muddy from my feet sliding out from under me. So maybe lesson learned. Bite the bullet, buy the VJ Ultras so I can use them for my next long
sometimes
race.
On courses like this, you have to accept that you can't use as much cushion as you want. You got to go for the real aggressive tread to dig into those really wet, grassy hills.
Yeah.
And it looks like we have pro men's semifinals coming up very soon. This looks like Anthony Erdley coming up next with Yuri Prokudin.
I love seeing on the bottom of the screen, you see some excited athletes, and that is exciting to see.
Wow, look at the athleticism just going over those
Wow.
walls. Oh, wow.
Going out hot. Oh,
Oh,
he
no!
missed the
A
bell.
number 1 seed whiffs the bell. A huge opening for Yuri.
He's got time, but at the same time, you can't waste it. He caught up quick. You never know what's going to happen. Come on. That was a big, aggressive move when he didn't necessarily have to. I like that. He's still attacking even when he's got the lead.
You have to. You have the number 1 seed chasing you, a super athlete there.
Smooth dismount there, too. He looks calm and collected up the wall smoothly.
Wow. A huge upset here, but that's what we face as obstacle racers. We have to take chances on short courses like this, and sometimes a slight mistake of missing the bell.
His ring went
so
flying. Good thing that didn't happen. If he was, it would have been hard to go chase that down. Something interesting I've seen is a lot of the guys have taken the rings, one in each hand, and they jump and put them both on either side of the anchor. That's something I had not seen before, like in a Savage race or anything like that. What do you think about that technique?
That's similar to what you see a lot of the athletes doing in the 3K, right, where they jump out to the farthest hold they can reach and use both hands to make sure they're secure.
Okay.
You can't really do that when you have floating implements, so with a hook that's facing outwards, they can actually jump way out to that hold and slap the rings on both sides so that they're still secure, but they can skip as many as they can before they enter the honors.
Kind of safer, more guaranteed. That way, if one hand slips when you're making that jump, you've still got that second hand to catch.
Exactly. Because jumping, 6-8 feet out in front of you and trying to grab onto a hold with one hand, a lot of times is going to fail you. And especially in this rain, it's just not going to happen, especially on those plastic rings. They're extremely slick right now. So seeing them still going and skipping rings or skipping those anchors is actually really a testament to their strength, because that takes a ton of power in their forearms to be able to keep locked in there.
Yeah, the ninjas and Zanties would be slipping all over the place. Yeah, the ninjas aren't so used to wet obstacles. I don't think it rains indoors. Here we are to the ladies. We've got Alyssa Beard. Now, remember earlier we talked about the girl in the white sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's Jaleesa Himka. That's our number 1 seed. I'm interested to see Alyssa, though. I did not expect her to be seated where she is. I wonder if one of the athletes had to leave for a flight. And you can see the confidence out of Jaleesa. She's been doing this practically her whole upbringing.
Yeah.
And is just ready
to... that extra backswing, though. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. It's a close battle.
This race is not over.
Yeah, they're both on the wall at the same time.
Wow. She is skipping as many rungs as the men. Oh, and that dismount we were talking about where she hooks that last ring and does that little kipping pull-up. That's so impressive.
Nice. Strong finish from her.
So Jaleesa remains our number 1 seed going into the finals.
Yeah, I'm impressed with her. She's 14 years old, and to have that wingspan to skip that anchor is quite awesome to see. And, she didn't stand out to me as being overly short or anything, so maybe that wasn't really something to be concerned about. She might be full height already.
And she's also very confident in taking huge backswings. Like we saw, she took a second backswing on that ring to make sure she could lâcher all the way to the bell from the middle of the rig. So she's very confident in her abilities. Actually, in a recent ninja competition, went up against the legendary Jessie Graff and took a win in a
Wow.
side-by-side competition very similar to this.
Yeah, I didn't
So-
know that. That's impressive.
So she's coming in with a lot of confidence, the winner from last year, but even in recent competitions is still a formidable athlete.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm guessing we're going to go back to the men here.
The rain is coming down. It looks like it's windy out there. We see the flags moving around.
There's definitely a storm rolling in right now.
Yeah. You can see the sky in our camera view. It's just covered. There's no...
And we're starting to lose view of the height of the mountain behind all those clouds. It is coming down out there.
Are you staying in the village, VJ? So hopefully you don't have too much of a drive.
I'm about
anywhere.
5 minutes down the road.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, got ourselves a nice Airbnb and made sure to get through tonight for the Red Bull after party here at OCRWC. It was a very memorable night last year, so I'm excited to go again.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a fun time. So be sure to check that out. What time does that start?
I think it's 6 p.m. All the athletes are welcome, so I hope some of the athletes that are still in town here are able to make it out.
So I think this is Angelica, the 16-year-old in the blue-grayish hoodie. And then in the green, I remember seeing her last year. Was that I apologize.
You can see there's a much more conservative approach going on from even what we saw from these athletes earlier in the day.
Yeah. Now, I don't think they're really getting tired and want to take less risk. I think that it's just more slick and wet, and they're forced to. This is a close battle.
This is actually another open semifinal. I think we might have misjudged the finals earlier.
Doing a lot less skipping in this round here, but if this is the open wave, then that makes sense. Nice. Strong finish from her. You hear the excitement from the crowd.
A lot of lead changes there. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's unfortunate the weather to, last year there was a huge crowd around this event. We don't have as many people here because of the weather. So that's a little unfortunate. But I bet we've got more people tuning in online for that reason. So I'm really grateful for the OCR report for bringing us this live coverage. Very clear quality video. It looks excellent.
All right, we have some more athletes coming out.
Yeah, I believe you're right, VJ. Those look like the open waivers we saw earlier as well.
So this is the second round, the last of the semifinals for the open waves. This guy in the all black looks very strong. He's not rushing anything. He's just going as fast as he needs to. Very smooth and calculated movements from everything.
Yeah, nothing super risky, but
and he's
efficient.
Explosive. Look at him fly over those walls.
Those walls were excellent. No, he didn't skip the first rung. Skip the next one.
I'm actually going to leave you to it for a moment. I'm going to go outside and confirm some of the names that we have in the finals, just to make sure we give them credit where credit's due.
Thanks, VJ. See you in a moment. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have an update to you in just a minute to find out what's happening with the Open as well as the pros to see who we have remaining in the competition and how many waves we've got left.
I'll step in for just a second and just say that VJ is outside chasing down Adrian Viginata to get the update on what's going on and just confirm some things and just putting some extra effort into this craft. You know, VJ's an all-around great athlete, but I think we've seen him kind of flourish in commentating as well. He's done a little bit of work with Spartan, worked with us a little bit. Does a really good job.
Yeah, I like hearing from the pros, you know, hearing their opinion, what kind of, a little bit silly, but even like what shoes they would wear, for what reasons. You know, you don't always get to hear that kind of insight from those top level athletes. So for me, that's something that I like to see when I'm watching these kind of videos.
Same goes from getting the insight from you. I take it just you got to run it twice, right?
I did. I ran the 3K. Oh, I'm sorry. The 100 meters. So I ran it once. You get to run it twice you choose a 1 hour time slot, and then you get 2 attempts to run it. My first attempt was quite smooth, and I felt like if I were to go back for a second try, I really only had the opportunity to save maybe 10 seconds. And I felt like my run was good. I didn't want to tire out. I did it on Friday, so I still had the 15K to think about on Saturday. And again, I was pretty happy with my effort, so I really just didn't want to do it again.
Yeah, the fact that you did it on Friday, that definitely makes sense. You got a lot more racing to go throughout the weekend. If you make a big move because you're trying to save those 10 seconds, you could easily tear your hand or something.
Yeah, and like VJ said, you came down from those tall walls, so there's really a hard balance there. Last year I ran it after the 15K, and then your grip and your arms and everything is so tired from doing those 40 obstacles on the 15K, plus the 20 obstacles in the 3K. So your arms are tired, your grip is tired, your hands could be ripped, things like that. So I definitely was glad I got it out of the way this year on Friday. But at the same time, when I ran the course, only 3 females had completed it so far, so it was really hard to know how I stacked up. So the benefit to going on Sunday is then you see the times. You know what you need to be. You know if you've made that top run. So it's a little easier for athletes, especially if they didn't run the team race. This can be their main focus. It looks like we've got one more wave going out right now. Got a lot of people got their phones out. It is Joe Moravsky. Some big moves here. We've got VJ coming back in, going to fill us in on what's happening. Ooh, Joe looked like he was going to make a big jump, but he couldn't clear that wall in that move. Not surprising. We've got Joe in front. Ooh, and our competitor there missed the bell. He's got to go back. Joe's got quite a lead now. Looking strong. You can see him wiping his hands off, getting those wet hands kind of dried off a little bit. Welcome back, VJ.
Thank
Got
you.
any news for us?
So that's David Kavanaugh that he was going up against.
Okay.
And Joe Moravsky is going to another final.
And David finishing out the course. Smooth dismount there. Looking good. And there's Joe, you know, being a good competitor, waiting for him. Now, what I found interesting is it's only 100 meters, right? So you think it's not that hard. It's only 100 meters. These guys came in with times, some of them under a minute. So you're thinking, this is 60 seconds of effort. I came out of that thing panting, feeling just as worn out as I did after I finished the 3K finish line. It's crazy how, I mean, you have to take it to a whole nother level. You have to go fast, which is so different from these endurance events that OCR typically is.
Yeah, and intensity matches
the time. All right, so you put out the effort that you can sustain for however long the event is. It's just like in the 100-meter, you're going to finish this race pretty gassed, versus in the 3K, you're going to finish the race pretty gassed as well.
Here we have Aaliyah
And Malia Oshner.
Both looking strong. Malia's got a little bit of a gap, only a few seconds. Hitting every hold, but making that jump to save a few seconds.
She barely hit the bell on that one. It didn't. It wasn't a full touch, but her hand did still touch it, so she got credit for that.
Yeah.
Strong dismount off the wall, and now the crux of the course. Little hang up mounting there.
Oh no. I think she's got the
does.
time made up though. Yep, looking strong. Hit the bell. Ooh.
Oh, got Jaleesa's technique on the dismount there. That is awesome.
Yeah, I like that move. Catching that second ring on the backswing to stop, and then use that, like you said, that momentum to pull it up and pull them off. I think I'm learning some tips and tricks for my next time I do Anchors Away. I like that.
At Savage Race, we're going to see that kipping pull-up dismount.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Looks like the rain has calmed down a little bit. I don't see it coming down quite as hard as it was a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it's not too bad out there, but the wind and the cold is quite chilling. In the brief moments I was out there, it was very, very cold.
Starting to shiver pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And things are still wet. You know, even if it stopped raining, those holds stay wet for a while.
So up next, I'm not sure if they're going to want to run the third place race first or the championship final. So based on the brackets of qualification, they need to have a runoff to see who finishes third and fourth and who finishes first and second. So there is like a loser's bracket that goes down to figure out who's that third spot on the podium.
So earlier we talked about those walls a little bit, and I'm not sure the viewers had a chance to see that. So those walls, what they were is they were like a 12-foot wall. They had a rope on them to help get to the top, but some of those taller guys, or a lot of the guys in general, just jumped straight up to the top without using the rope and went up and over. Here's our open wave. I think this is for third place.
This is for third place. This is Ortez and Savanovich.
Smooth.
That was very smooth.
Got a little bit of a lead. Smooth on the bell.
And Savanovich is not letting go. He's, oh, man.
Rough fall there. I know
Yeah.
that hurts to be behind and try to make a risk and not pay off. But he can catch up. Kendall, I think, is making taking it a little more safe route now. He didn't skip as many since he doesn't have to. Smart move. Solid finish. That's Kendall Ortez taking third place for the open wave. Congrats, Kendall. The Highlight Ninja. He works with Overcoming Obstacles Ministry. They go around and they actually build obstacle course races at different, or ninja races, I'm sorry, ninja courses at different high schools and share the word of God. It's quite inspiring.
That's cool. I think I've seen some of that on Instagram with a lot of other ninjas working together on that initiative.
So we should be expecting to see our open finalists. This is going to be the battle for first and second place that we're seeing up next, I believe. Oh, we see the ladies.
Yes, this is the women's third place open.
Yeah, my mistake. I'm excited to see my friend Jessica Wong out there.
Here we go.
She cheered me on through the whole finish yesterday when I needed that pick-me-up. So
4,000 feet of climbing out there in 9 miles. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and that camaraderie is what I love about the sport most. Wow, that's disappointing to see.
Oh,
now there's a gap
another
and
whiffed bell.
Yeah. You can see she's taken her time here using her feet on every rope. It's more wet, your hands are more tired, and she's got the space that she can do that.
And you saw in the retry on that obstacle, it's actually very tough. It's easy to miss holds because the first time you go through, it's still. The second time, you have to deal with the swing of all those implements and try to time it.
Yeah, if you get there when it's on that backswing, it's going to be further away than what you want it to be. You can see a more safe technique here, hitting every anchor. Looks like Jessica's there just cheering her on. Looks like she's holding her hand, might be a little hurt.
There we go.
Nice, good dismount.
I'm here to lock up third place on the podium. An awesome finish.
And Jessica cheered her on all the way through. Again, the camaraderie of the sport is just so inspiring to see. So who was that taking the third place spot for the open wave?
I have her last name. I'm not sure. Last name Flood. She appears to be a pretty young athlete, so awesome finish for her.
I think that's Charlotte Flood.
Charlotte Flood.
Yep.
Congratulations,
Congrats to her.
Charlotte Flood, on getting third place, hopping on that podium at the OCR World Championships. All right, we got a race coming. These were our number one
and a bell whiff.
and number 3 seeds.
Wow.
That was quite the move.
Yeah, and he's got a big lead and taking that risk, but you never know when that gap is going to come back on you, so you've got to do it.
I think this was a redemption run for him, coming in as the number 1 seed. He obviously, wanted the title from this.
Yeah, now look.
Wow, this could be a huge...
Oh, a comeback. Nice.
The power he has to be swinging with one arm and be able to pull backwards mid-swing to unhook that is incredibly impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. I'm impressed with the second general being able to catch up. I did not expect that to happen.
So the third place spot on the podium at the OCR World Championships for Anthony Erdley. So by process of elimination, we should have the women's third place battle coming up next. We should see them take off in a moment here. They're lined up on the start.
Here they go. They're off.
There they go.
Sorry, there was a slight delay there.
Alyssa Beard and Aaliyah going head to head here. This is pure Ninja versus OCR on this one. Savage Series athlete taking on an American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. Both looking strong.
It's interesting to see how a lot of these athletes are using so many more holds
Aaliyah made
as
a
the
big.
competition goes on.
Yeah. Aaliyah made a big move there. Skipped the last hold.
She's staying in contact. She's got to go. She's got to take risks to try to get back into it.
Yeah. Alyssa's built quite a gap now, though.
If she can nail this dismount, she's got it locked up.
She did that same kind of dismount. It seems like these girls are learning on the fly, which is really impressive. It's hard to do that.
There it is, third place for Alyssa Beard. Oh no!
A good fight out of both of those athletes.
Mm-hmm. All right, excitement is building up outside. All of our wet spectators enduring the elements to make sure they got to see this moment right here. We have Jaleesa Himka versus Malia Oshner, our 1 and 2 seeds coming into this. This is what the numbers would have told you, and this is what we got in the final. This is really, really cool to see. It doesn't always work out that way as we saw in the men's, but getting to see the 2 fastest athletes from qualifying get to go head-to-head in the final. Oh, you're right. We are doing open finals first. Now, I only have last names here. I have Greer and Pax going head-to-head. Wow! That was the biggest move we've seen on this obstacle the entire competition from both categories.
So we've got Ernest Greer. And what was the other name that you said?
Pax.
Wow, they're both on the walls. It's going to be battle through the finish. He jumped on there quick. Oh, no.
Lost the ring, though.
Oh,
Dismount decides it.
who's going to get that bell? Nice. An exciting finish.
So many lead changes there in such a short course. That
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah, fun to see. All right, we've got the next two runners lining up.
It looks like the Open Women's Final.
We're off. Got a little gap forming.
The confidence in the rain is really impressive on all those holds.
She looks to be going about the same speed she was going earlier.
Nice. No feet on those ropes, just swinging all the way through.
Yeah, that saves a lot of time if you're not trying to fumble with getting your feet on there.
And as we've seen so far, a mistake on this last obstacle can be terrible for your chances. Oh, look at this. Just getting a hook onto the anchor. The gap is closing.
And there she is taking a little risk, but solid.
There's the bell. The kip pull up.
Yep. Looking strong.
And there it is.
Yeah,
OCR World Champion.
Very impressive.
And you can see they're up there gassed after a minute-long course, putting everything on the line. So cool. And after this, they get to stand up on the podium. It might be a little cold, but the podium at a World Championships feels different than anything else.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I believe that might have been Savannah DeChamps.
Yeah, I think
taking the win.
It looks like Savannah DeChamps, which was the #1 seed coming into these open finals. So impressive to keep the lead through the whole thing, not make any mistakes, and just be solid all the way through.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So possibly Jackie Desmond taking that second place spot.
Taking that second place spot. Very cool. Took a little online digging and research and try to get the results from qualifying and be able to process of elimination this through, but I think we got it figured out. So in third place, it looks like Charlotte Flood. In second place, we have Jackie Desmond, and our winner of the weekend, Savannah DeChamps.
Congratulations,
to you guys.
ladies. And yeah, we are getting this information on the fly. We're not getting relayed information directly from outside where they're tracking everything. So it's a little hard to know. Like VJ said, we're having to do a little process of elimination here in the booth. So it makes it just a little bit complicated to get all that right. So if that's incorrect, we do apologize.
It looks like our ladies are lining up for the final, the pro heat.
Yeah, getting our excitement level up for this final run. Big shout out to the viewers. Thank you guys for watching. And we're off.
Here we go. Jaleesa Himka versus Malia Oshner.
Our 1-2 finishers for qualifying. And our first and third place finishers from last year. Jaleesa's just so smooth at everything and so confident.
Yeah, it's just instinctual at this point. I don't think it takes too much planning on her part, just to trust that her body can handle whatever is in front of her.
And you could see with the way she got her feet up like that real high, that's really a ninja
Nice
move. Yeah.
That's a move we haven't seen from very many of the women. A lot in the men's competition, but she is one of the only women that's been able to make that bell from halfway through the rig like that.
Yeah, very impressive.
So smooth, so confident, right to the bell, kipping pull-up dismount.
Yep.
No mistakes, a perfect run.
Yeah, strong finish.
Two-time defending world champion.
At 14 years old. It is so impressive. I can't wait to see what she does moving forward as she gets older. You know, she could be the next VJ Jones.
I think she's got a much higher ceiling than myself.
All right, the next Lindsay Webster, or?
It's possible. I'm not sure if she's interested in the endurance game. I'm sure if she added that to her repertoire, that would be very impressive. But she's already putting the Ninja World on show with National Ninja League and competitions like that. I think she'll be old enough to compete on American Ninja Warrior here soon, so I'm sure we're going to see big things from her in that arena as well. So a very bright future and another championship for Jaleesa Himka.
Yeah, great work to her. And Malia Oshner, impressive performance, second place finish at a world championship event. Very exciting. All right, getting ready for our men's finals.
There's a lot of energy out there in that cold. Joe Moravsky, last year's champion, versus an international athlete coming out, Yuri Prokudin. This is going to be very, very exciting. Ninja versus OCR, straight up.
He's just a reminder. He's 18 years old. He was the 100-meter Russian champion for the OCR event there.
And they're off over the first walls. You can see how fast
Neck
they're
and
going.
neck.
No
Move for move.
And this is going to be a game of inches. Can't make any mistakes. You have to take every risk that you can, but stay confident through the whole thing. This is wild.
Joe's looking strong, but
Joe
sometimes when you do
that
that,
wall.
you make mistakes. Let's see what happens. It's not over till it's over.
You see Yuri
They're
jumping
so
out to
close.
try to get an edge, try to make up that ground, but Joe Moravsky, champion.
Yeah, no catching him. Smooth run. He looked perfect.
That's awesome to see a final where nobody whiffed the bell, no one had to back up and try again. You get to see two guys race, start to finish, straight up. That's what you want to see out of a final.
Yeah, I bet that was the fastest run of the whole day. They both looked super smooth, and for it to still be wet out there.
Yeah, the confidence in what these guys face is unbelievable. So from the dry conditions we had earlier today, everyone walking around in t-shirts, now the rain, the storm has come in. and they were making the same moves, if not going faster than what we've seen from all of qualifying and all of our prelims leading into this. Really, really impressive.
Definitely. Congratulations to Joe Moravsky. And, sorry, you go ahead.
I'm looking here. I'm locating who made it through. It looks like David Kavanaugh was 4th on today, but coming to our podium, Anthony Erdley is going to take 3rd place. Yuri Prokudin, our Russian champion, is going to take 2nd, and Joe Moravsky is going to be our 2-time defending 100-meter OCR champion. So Julissa and Joe go back-to-back, undisputed, and very, very cool to see.
Yeah, I'd really like to see some names here next year, like Lindsay Webster. Some of the ones that normally don't run 100 meters, but it'd be fun to see some of those top pros get in there.
It's a very different approach to what we normally see, attacking obstacles with everything you have versus a conservative, safer approach in the middle of a 9-mile race, right? So it is interesting to see which athletes can cross over, and it is interesting to see when some of the more popular ninja names come out to the OCR course, which one of them excel, adding that endurance element. So cool crossover, but the ninjas stand undefeated.
Yeah.
2 years in a row here, same athletes, dominant performances, no mistakes. Really, really, really impressive. Congrats to you guys.
Yeah, congratulations. You know what? You viewers at home, who do you want to see next year? Tag them, share this video, let them know, share this with the world. Let's pull in more ninjas against more OCR athletes. The bigger the competition, the more fun it is to see, the bigger the moves, the closer the competition. It's always more excitement,
Absolutely. So thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a blast watching this. Even through the storm and the rain, we got some intense competition and some real athleticism.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Catch you at the next one.
Yeah. Thanks, BJ. Everybody have a great day.